Investment banking, one of the most promising courses in finance, and what most people who don't know what investment banking is, when they hear the word finance or when they think, oh, I want to get into the field of finance without really knowing much about it, they generally are thinking about the markets or they're thinking about investment banking. So in this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know to decide if investment banking is the right option for you or not. Let's get started. So first of all, what is it? What is investment banking? I know so many students, they take up CFA with us. We have investment banking programs they take, but they don't know really what it is. They just want to get into it because somehow in their mind, they think that this is it. This is something that I'm going to really be interested in. And then they research, like they pre-decide emotionally, they want to get into investment banking. Then they work towards it. Why is all of this happening? Well, investment banking has always been one of those careers that have had massive potential for an individual to make a lot of wealth. It's a very high effort, high reward kind of a field. And of course, there are varying degrees of it basis what you do. But that's the main thing. If you see movies like Wolf of Wall Street, or you see shows like Billions, or if you're a Bollywood fan and you see Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara and you see Ritik's character, who's a money-making guy who cares about money, wants to retire at the age of 40, he wants to really, as they say, chapo notes. That is, and that's why he, as a character, got into investment banking. So I know multiple people like that. One of my friends, Sharan in PwC, he was working with me in transfer pricing in PwC. He was from Baroda. He is a chartered accountant. So he topped his city as a CA, came, worked in a couple of years at PwC, started his CFA, started working at Citibank, went to Rice University in the US. And after all of this, the massive plan he made for a few years, and then it was all because he wanted to get into investment banking, which he's thriving in now. So first of all, that's what the whole world is about. Now, let's get into the technical details. What is investment banking? Well, investment banking, think of them as a bridge, okay, as an intermediary between a business and investors. So let's take Zomato, right? Zomato, before its IPO, needed money to constantly hire tech people, make sure that they keep onboarding more restaurants and keep doing different fancy things to keep people like us engaged. So Zomato would always want funds. So they will need funds from different things, right? They will need from institutions, they'll need from high net worth individuals, or they might just want money from people like you and me who, for whatever reason, we believe in Zomato's growth story. So how does Zomato do all of this, right? At small scale, of course, Zomato, the founder, Dipinder Goyal, might as well have gone individually to fund houses, to family offices, to venture capitals, taken a little bit of money. But as they grow, they can't do that, right? There is too much of detailing required in securing funds. So at that time, they hire the bridge, the intermediary, which is an investment bank. Investment bank is, it can be individuals like you and me who get into it, and all the way to top companies like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Avendis and a lot of these kind of companies, right? So let's say Zomato wanted to now raise, before its IPO, its final round, or you can think of it as an IPO also, and they need to raise a lot of money. Now, there is so much. There is regulations, there is financial projections and modeling, there is a lot of networking and knowing the right people, there's a lot of pitching to the right kind of investors, all of that. So Zomato will hire a Goldman Sachs, for example, who will do all of this, ensure that Zomato, whatever funds they want to raise and whatever equity they want to dilute or whatever the conditions are, Goldman Sachs understands and then does its best to ensure that Zomato gets the funds it wants at the valuation it wants. And in the middle of this entire big project, Goldman Sachs, on an average, generally makes some percentage as their fees. So it's more of a B2B model for those who understand this investment banking, because you're connecting two businesses, or rather one business to investors. So first of all, that's the basic model. Now, you can think of it as two types of investment banks, right? One is like the big ones, the Goldman Sachs and the JP Morgans, and they offer a lot of services which falls under investment banking. So there is obviously securing funds and raising capital. There can be mergers and acquisitions, because it is so complicated to have two big entities merge or one entity acquiring another, right? So you've seen in the news, so many companies have been acquiring. I'll give you a quick fun fact. So Google and Apple, I had read somewhere, since 2010, on an average, every week they buy one company, right? In 1 year, if they buy 50 companies, and in 10 years, they're buying 500 companies, it is a massive amount of effort, right? Similarly, right now, the top companies in any field, right? You take a Paytm, or you take a traditional bank, if they all want to keep on improving their technology, instead of building it all the time, all by themselves, they also start acquiring companies which are into AI, which have expertise which they don't have. A lot of companies want to grow beyond what they want to do, right? So a Reliance cannot keep on building, let's say they wanted to get into hyperlocal delivery, right? Reliance has the option of always building it by themselves. But isn't it much easier for somebody like them to acquire a company which is already doing it, which has done the groundwork, and now Reliance can come, acquire an existing company and explode it using their capital, their expertise, their brand name. And this company has already done the basic work or reached a certain level, which Reliance otherwise would have to do it by themselves, which would take time, which might be having certain mistakes and experiments which they don't want to go through, so they'll end up buying it. There's so much of acquisitions happening, mergers happening in the market. Then there are financial services, there are advisory services, there are asset management services. So these kind of big companies will provide all these services. And then there are smaller companies or boutique companies. One of our students, Neil, I talk about him a lot. He had studied ACCA with us, then did CFA, worked at Deloitte, and today I think 3 years back, started his own. Of course, he worked for a couple of years further in a boutique investment banking company, learned what he needs to, built certain contacts, and now since a couple of years, he's running his own firm. He is killing it. He must be making an immense amount of wealth basis what he shares with us. Because think about it. If you do, you are the lead investment banker for just an hypothetical example, a company wanting to raise, let's say, 500 crores. And somehow you work hard enough to get that deal as an investment banker. And if you make 1% out of it, right, that's 5 crores, whether it's for an individual or a company. And for either, it's a big deal, one deal. So even if you work on it as an individual for an entire year, right, and at the end, you earn 5 crores out of it. Most people cannot even dream of such numbers. So it does have its pros. Now remember, this is not a video on just telling you about the pros of it, but this is what attracts most people into investment banking. So, how does an investment banking company make money or an investment banker make money? Like I said, it's on the percentage on an app generally. Okay. There are, of course, lot of variations in the real world, but more or less, it is a percentage of the transaction deal. Right. So on 500 crores, they can get, so the fees can vary from 1% all the way to 10%, depending on the size of the deal, the size of the company, the timing, all of that. But for your math, you can take a smaller percentage, let's say 2%, 1%, 3%, and take any big transaction deal, and you understand why it's expected to be a high reward kind of an industry. But then so is the madness when it comes to the input effort, right? Unlimited amount of working hours, no timing, no family. If you're all into work-life balance, that's going to be a little difficult. Insane amount of travel. So some people love all of this, right? But you need to know that these things are important. And if you are willing to give that a shot, then investment banking is the right option for you. Let's come to more details, right? Who can do investment banking? Let's consider it as eligibility. Well, the good part is that it doesn't matter where you are from. You can have studied engineering in your past. You could have been in your family business. You could be from a small city. It doesn't matter. Anybody basically can get into investment banking. Now, technically, the best people who get this option are those who come out from the top schools, right? The IIMs and the IITs and so on and so forth, because they are very high IQ, filtered, selected people with amazing background, amazing education, and a lot of potential. So, number one, if you want to get into investment banking, like my friend who I explained the entire journey of, Sharan, you can have a steady way of approaching it through academics and experience. The other is that students like Neil, who I explain again, he found his way, right? He hustled and he got his way. And also, there are a lot of people who I have known who have just changed trajectory, because investment banking has no criteria. Anybody can basically say that, okay, I was working in this kind of a job and I wanted to get into investment banking operations, right? What does operations mean? We made a detailed video on something called front end, mid office, and operations. Please have a look at that, because all of these things matter over there. So somebody who's saying, okay, fine, I just want to shift into investment banking. I'm okay with a 5 lakh, 10 lakh salary package. Well, basis their experience and where they get a job, they can enter into what we call investment banking operation. For that, you need some basic understanding. Of course, you can always reach out to us, right? For whatever I'm going to be talking about in investment banking, we are always there. Like I said, right from having programs to having explanations, we can help it always. But we have a bunch of students who basically come and say, I want to just start and I don't want to put in too much time, too much effort, too much money. How do I start? So for that, we say suggest get into operations. Here you need nothing. You can come from anywhere. You can have any form of communication understanding. You have zero knowledge of finance, no problem. Get started. If you do well, you can start your career in 6 months in the field of investment banking operations. Let's say you are a very well-spoken, very aggressive, have got great understanding of finance, maybe even pedigree, maybe education, maybe you're a chartered accountant or a CFA, maybe you've done MBA, you're from some certain, you are coming from Bombay or Delhi or Bangalore and you understand all of this, you're one of those guys. Yes, you can get into investment banking, what we call front end, because front end is where you have to deal with clients and be the face for investment banking, and operations obviously where you do all the financial work, the compliance work, and the technical work. So there are two paths you can also take basis what your current status is. So guys, this is what investment banking basically gets to when it comes to the potential earning capacity. Remember that you're working in a company which makes a fee and you do hundreds of deals in a year, all at massive, let's say hundreds or thousands of crores, and you earn a small percentage for all. That alone makes the company and in turn most of the employees very, very wealthy. At an individual level, you can gain experience and then start your own journey. Once again, a couple of deals a year, good deals a year, and hopefully you will be able to make a massive impact. Remember, more than finance or along with finance, actually, you need a lot of social skills as well over here. And finally, you just want to get into this field, but you don't want that hassle. Operations is an amazing aspect because you do modeling, you do valuation, you do financial projections, you learn about different industries, you do a lot of research about it, you learn about the capital markets, you learn about what we call trade life cycle. You do a lot of different things and you are saying, okay, I'm happy, right? I'll start with my job and then I keep growing in it and I can land up earning over time. Start from 5 lakhs, you can keep on growing year on year till you are making a happy income for yourself. And who knows, you can start with operations and if you're lucky and really good, you might be able to switch to front end once you feel you are ready. So guys, remember there is a lot of options that you can do. Investment banking is a massive field with a lot of opportunity. I hope if you stuck till the end of this video, I've covered a lot of different aspects. You've understood it all. But by any chance, if you need any more help, as always, feel free to reach out and let us know in the comments what else we can make for you.